Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
And hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And let me remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, we're celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. And I like this one. I will modify it just ever so slightly. Today's National Hot Pastrami Sandwich Day. Now, holy cow, we got all kinds of goodies on there. I'm looking at the picture right there. If you're watching us on ronsiegelradio.tv, looks like we got a pita bread, and I don't know what the first picture even is. I can't even tell what that one, that almost looks like an omelet. I don't know. But I'm going to share with you, because I can, either on rye bread or even better on a potato latke. Yeah, I said it. And I'll be going and indulging in that this weekend. One of my favorite delis. If you're in the Coachella Valley anywhere, 2 locations, Sherman's Deli. And Hot Pastrami Day. Now, I am certainly glad, Josh, you didn't do this one, because this would have had to been a problematic one.
I got a bad feeling about this.
National Dress Up Your Pet Day? No, don't annoy the pets. Just let them be and enjoy themselves. Let's move right along. Let's see what the markets are doing today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, whoa, it's down 215 points.
Ow!
What's even worse than that is the NASDAQ down 371. The S&P 500 is down 64.44. Oil's up 57 cents a barrel. Do we want to look at it? Do we want to know? $2.84 a gallon is the national average of a gallon of gasoline. $2.84 a gallon. We are in the formerly golden state, so we're still averaging $4.21. $2.84 versus $4.21. Now, I will admit, I think it was, a couple days ago, I did go out to the normal Costco that I go to and get gas, and I think it was in the upper threes, but $4.21 is the average according to AAA here in the formerly golden state. Let's see. Josh, what are you right around $3 over there in Vegas? $3 a gallon? Yeah. I'm looking at the statewide average for Nevada. Shows 335 is their average, or so it looks like, I guess we ought to say it, the only states that are in the fours, California and Hawaii. The only place where you can pay $4 a gallon for gasoline. Everywhere else is in the threes, low threes. I'm looking even New York. They're in the top 10 highest price states. $2.99 a gallon in New York. So, yes, we like taxes. We like fees here in California. I know we like them because we keep on voting for the same people that give us these same taxes, these same fees. We're looking at the 10-year Treasury down 4 basis points. Now, I will share with you, when the 10-year Treasury goes down, that's generally good for mortgage rates. No, the 10-year Treasury does not set mortgage rates. Mortgage rates come from the mortgage-backed securities. And right now I'm watching the 5% coupon bond. And you can generally think that when you're looking at a 5% coupon on the bond, the rate's going to be somewhere between 0.75% higher and 1.25% higher than that. So we should be looking at somewhere between 5.75 and 6.25 as the interest rates. And in the next segment, we'll tell you what rates locked at yesterday, because that's what we do in the Mortgage Minute. But the reason I'm not excited about the 10-year Treasury being down 4 basis points, it's a nice move down, and we like seeing it move down, but we like to see it move down for economic reasons, not geopolitical reasons. And I have a feeling right now it's got more to do with geopolitics than anything else, because we're watching where the Department of State is asking people, Americans, to leave Qatar. They've already asked them to move out of some other places in the Middle East. And these are the same things that happened right before Israel invaded Iran. So am I saying that's what's going to happen? No, I have no idea. I'm just a guy doing a little radio show here. But I can tell you this, that history sometimes repeats itself. And when we start moving our people out of certain areas, it usually means that something's going on that we have to watch out for. And the markets understand that. When the markets understand that, what do? They have what's called a flight to safety. And the U.S. 10-year Treasury is that flight to safety. Now, I will also share with you, it's even more important now dealing with the U.S. finances because of what happened in Venezuela. Now, why is that important, that what happened in Venezuela? Well, you're not going to get this kind of analysis anywhere. The BRICS country, Brazil, Russia, India, China, a lot of these countries were wanting to go to a separate system of finances. They didn't want to use the U.S. as the default currency. Well, if the oil is going through U.S. channels and China still wants to buy that oil, they've got to buy it in U.S. dollars, which is a bigger security system for us. Now, no one's telling you those things, but it does help the U.S. financial system. Why? Because we always run a deficit. If the U.S. is not the default currency, then you can't keep creating money like we've been doing and adding just more money to our national debt. Just the way all of these things all tie together. So we're not seeing that right now. We're seeing that, you got the oil, you want Venezuelan oil, and they've got what supposedly the largest reserves in the world. Well, if that's going to have to be purchased through U.S. dollars, then the money goes back to, wherever it's supposed to go to, and it goes through the U.S. banking system. Well, that's going to change things. It makes us more secure here in the U.S. But if we've got these geopolitical issues going on, the Russia, Ukraine, and now you've got the turmoil in Iran, people put their money in U.S. treasuries because it's a safe haven for money. When people are buying more, the price of those bonds goes up. They're bidding them up. And when the bond goes up, rates go down. So that's why we're seeing that 10-year Treasury down 4 basis points right now, and the mortgage bond going up 12 basis points. Now, we haven't seen a whole lot of change in mortgage rates. I told you this earlier in the week. I told this last week. When mortgage rates are dropping, it happens, it'll happen, doesn't go down as quick as they go up. But in the last several years, we've had to watch out because the rates will drop, but they don't stay down very long. And I'm looking at, according to Mortgage News Daily, last Friday, rates were at 5.99%. Today, they're sitting at 6.07%. Not a massive change, but it's still, rates are going up. I'm looking also, and I don't have it in front of me. I think, Josh, would you double check for me? I think that yesterday we reported that according to OBMMI, that the conventional 30-year fixed, I think, was 5.99. Well, today I think we're looking at that one being right at 6.02, something give or take 6.027. So it probably went up a little bit from where the report was yesterday to the report today. Yeah, yesterday was 5.999. Today, 6.027. So not enough to really talk about, but it's still, showing that if you don't take action, you might lose out. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, the number one regret sellers have when they don't use a real estate agent. 4 steps to fix your own credit. Stop chasing interest rates. The $576,000 mistake, really? Overcoming the fear of home ownership. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990 or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's...
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. And every day at this time, OBMMI, they provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They don't tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you put in your mortgage calculator to determine your principal and interest payments. If you do not have a mortgage calculator, we have an entire suite of calculators. rsrlinks.com/calculators. rsrlinks.com/calculators. You can get a calculator to do anything you want, including figuring out what your principal and interest payment will be. So what did rates do yesterday? And it's one of the times we don't like seeing that clean sweep, Josh. Every one of them is up. Conventional 30-year fix, 6.027. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.434. FHA 30-year fixed, 5.918. VA 30-year fixed, 5.638. USDA 30-year fixed, 5.943. Every one of them were up yesterday. And as I shared with you, some of them weren't up a whole lot. They were just marginally up. But what's driving the markets today? Well, we look right now, the S&P 500 is down 63.44. We're looking at the 10-year Treasury down a little bit over 4 basis points, 4.139. We're looking at the mortgage bond is up, which means rates are down on the mortgage side. That's up 13 basis points. All of that information easily available on that super secret website, google.com. The question is why? So I told you a little bit of the why on it before, but let's see what we've got going on. Yesterday, new home sales were released, which measures signed contracts on new homes, seeing a nice improvement, just like we saw with pending home sales. New home sales are up nearly 19% year over year at an annualized pace of 737,000, the highest level in almost 3 years. Existing home sales released this morning, showing closings on existing home sales in December. The market was expecting a 2% rise, but it significantly beat estimates, rising by 5.1%. The annualized pace is now 4.35 million, which is the highest level of sales in just under 3 years. Clearly, low rates for longer are leading to more sales, and because builders have pulled back and are not able to quickly create supply, this will likely lead to firmer home prices. That spells a big opportunity right now that you need to express to everybody who's thinking about, if your kids are thinking about buying a house, let them know some of these numbers. Existing inventory continues to fall, as it does always around this time of year. December inventory fell by 18.1% to 1.18 million units, which is tight. Inventory is now only up 3.5% year over year based on the pace of sales. This month's supply of inventory is only 3.3 months, falling from 4.2 and well below a balanced market of 4.6. The median home price fell 1.1% month over month to $405,000. Median prices are now up 0.4% year over year. But remember, this is not appreciation and is measuring the middle-priced home that sold in December. The National Association of Realtors is changing some of their data releases and is no longer including metrics like first-time home buyers, cash buyers, investors, homes sold above list, and days to market within this report. It will be released at the end of the month. So Producer Price Index, October-November Producer Price Index reports released together following the delay due to the government shutdown. The figures were a bit wonky. The headline wholesale inflation reading came in at 0.2%, which was not a terrible reading, while the headline was unchanged from September at 3%. September, however, was revised much higher from 2.7% to 3%. Core was flat in November, which was a great reading, with the year-over-year rising from 2.9% in September, 3% in November. But again, the September figure was revised up slightly from 2.6 to 2.9%. We also got retail sales for November finally released, also delayed from the shutdown, measuring consumer spending. The overall reading was up 0.6%, which was stronger than expectations. Core reading, which is most important, rose 0.4%, which was in line with estimates. Report clearly shows that the start to the holiday shopping season was strong with consumers spending. That is the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. So let's do a Your Credit Matters segment today. Your Credit Matters segment being brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free, rsrlinks.com/debt-free. What if I told you that most people fixing their credit the hard way, spending hundreds or even thousands on credit repair companies, when there are 4 simple steps you can take right now to do it yourself for free? I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Here's the thing. Your credit score isn't just a number. It's the gatekeeper to your household blended interest rate, and that directly impacts how much money flows out of your budget every single month. A better credit score means better rates across all your debts, which means more money staying in your pocket where it belongs. So let me walk you through these 4 steps that can help you take control of your credit without paying someone else to do it. Step 1, freeze the secondary agencies. Most people know about the big 3 credit bureaus, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. But here's what they don't tell you. When you dispute negative items on your credit report, those bureaus verify that information through secondary agencies. We're talking about LexisNexis, ARS, Innovis, and CoreLogic. Think about it like this. You're trying to remove something from your credit report, but the bureaus are calling their backup sources to confirm they should keep it there. What happens when you freeze your credit with those secondary agencies before you dispute? The bureaus can't find the information, which significantly increases your chances of getting those negative items removed. Step 2, clean up your personal information. This one sounds simple but powerful. Call each of the 3 bureaus and remove any excess personal identifiers from your report. I'm talking about old addresses where you no longer live, previous employers you don't work for anymore, variations of your name that aren't connected to open accounts. Why does this matter? Because the bureaus will use any piece of information they can find to verify and keep negative items on your report. When you remove those extra identifiers, they're closing those verification pathways. It's about increasing the efficiency of your dispute process. Step 3, use a 609 letter. Now we get the actual dispute we get to the actual dispute process. A 609 letter references a section of the Fair Credit Reporting Act that says items on your credit report must be accurate and must be verifiable. It's straightforward and effective. But here's the key. Never dispute more than 10 items at once. If you have 30 or 40 negative accounts, break them into groups of 10. Why? Because if you dispute too many items at once, the bureaus can label you as a frivolous disputer, and that kills your chances of success. Step 4, be persistent. After you send your first round of letters, any items that weren't removed get disputed again in the next round. You'll send out new letters every 30 to 45 days. Let me be honest with you, this isn't overnight magic. Some accounts might come off in the first round. Others might take 4, 5, or even 6 rounds of disputing. Every credit report is different, but if you're persistent and patient, you will see results. Here's what this all comes back to. Strategy beats rate always. Your credit score impacts every interest rate you pay, and those rates determine your household blended interest rate. When you improve your credit, you're not just raising a number, you're reducing the amount of money leaving your household budget every month after month after month, year after year after year. That's real wealth building. That's strategic debt management in action. Want to see how your credit situation is affecting your household budget? Head over to rsrlinks.com/keysteps. That's rsrlinks.com/keysteps, where you can get your financial house in order and see exactly where you stand. And if you have questions about improving your credit, how improving your credit fits into your overall debt strategy, go to ronsiegelradio.com. Check us out. Book a 15-minute discovery call at bookrs15.com. And remember, strategy beats rate always. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening. That's your Credit Matters segment, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/debt-free, rsrlinks.com/debt-free. And while we've got a second or two, go in and take a look at the video we did, rsrccpayment.com, rsrccpayment.com, where we show you exactly how to pay your credit card bills the right way. And yes, I still get about 95% of the people, even those that pay their credit card bills in full every month, they pay their credit card bills the wrong way. They're paying them right after they get the bill. That doesn't help you at all for FICO scoring purposes. Yeah, it saves you on the interest, but it doesn't help your FICO scoring purposes. rsrccpayment.com, that will show you how to pay your credit card bills the right way. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, the number one regret sellers have when they don't use a real estate agent: stop chasing interest rates, the $576,000 mistake, overcoming the fear of home ownership. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number, it's 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com, facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you missed any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day at Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. The number one regret sellers have when they don't use a real estate agent. Want to know that number one thing homeowners regret? It's that they didn't price their house correctly for the current market. According to the latest data from the National Association of Realtors, that would be NAR, those sellers agree pricing their home effectively was the hardest part of the process. The 5 most difficult tasks for sellers who didn't use an agent: number 1, getting the price right. Number 2, preparing or fixing up the house. Number 3, selling within the desired time frame. Number 4, handling all the legal documents. Number 5, finding the time to manage all aspects of the sale. And that makes sense. Pricing isn't as simple as picking a number from an online estimate or copying what your neighbor got last year. It takes real insight. What buyers are actually willing to pay today, how much competition you have in your area, what similar homes nearby are really selling for, how desirable your area or neighborhood is, the condition of your house. Without that context, it's easy to overshoot the mark, especially now that buyers can be more selective, and in today's market, that'll backfire. Your price is part of what shapes a buyer's first impression, and when it's too high, a chain reaction happens. If buyers think you're asking too much, they're going to turn the other way, and when buyers bypass your house, you'll get fewer showings. Fewer showings lead to fewer offers. Fewer offers usually means making a price cut to try to draw buyers back in. If you have to make a price cut, it just says somebody didn't know what the right pricing was in the first place, because properties are selling every single day. And when they're a partner with Ron Siegel Radio, we actually get those properties in front of 10 to 15,000 people on social media within the first 10 days of the listing. We've got the strategies, we've got the tools, and we've got the history to back it up. That's what's happening a lot lately, especially homes sold without a pro. The same NAR report shows homes sold without an agent, that would be 59%, had to reduce their asking price at least once. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk, AM 1490 or FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of most homeowners who sold without an agent. 59% had to drop their asking price at least once. 7% had to do it twice. 27%, 3 or more times. Got to use an agent. The trouble is, price cuts don't always fix the problem. They can attract bargain hunters rather than strong, confident buyers. That's because many buyers see a price drop as a sign there's something wrong with the house. And that assumption can turn buyers away too. By the time your house finally sells, you may net less than if you priced it correctly from the start. Again, the data backs this up. NAR shows that homes sold with an agent sell nearly 8% more than homes sold without one. And you've got that chart right there on our same channels. That's not because agents magically add value. It's because they have the expertise needed to get it right. The price, the prep, the presentation, and the paperwork. Nail all of that from day one, and you'll be set to get as much money as you can out of your sale. So even though you thought selling without an agent meant saving money, that's not necessarily true. The facts show selling on your own can mean selling for less in the long run, and that may be enough to totally change your perspective. Bottom line, today the biggest risk of selling without an agent isn't the paperwork or the hassle, it's the price. And once pricing goes wrong, it's hard to correct course. That's the real-time real estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. So being that we're talking about selling your house and selling it the right way, are you ready to sell it? Do you want a couple tools to get the maximum sales price from it? Well, go to rsrlinks.com/salesmax. rsrlinks.com/salesmax. We did an entire video. We did a show segment some time ago showing you a couple of tools that'll help you get the most money from your property. Now, who is it that gets the most money from real estate? Well, maybe it's the person or the group that sells more homes. Yes, I know the real estate agents, they sell a lot of homes, but who sells even more than real estate agents? Builders. What's one of the big tools that builders are using right now? Concessions. Now, they have this built into their pricing, so all they're doing is giving up a little bit of their profit. Does that sound like giving up a little bit of your equity? Now, if you've priced your property wrong, you might have to give up a lot of equity. If you price your property strategically, like the builders do, and you put a simple line, or you have your agent put a simple line in the marketing materials, seller has approved special financing terms through their preferred lender. What does that mean? Concessions. That means a buy down. So instead of using that $90,000 rate drop or 3 rate drops we just talked about, what if you use a rate drop that's only 30% of what that rate drop is that you're thinking about via the buy down? Don't understand buy downs? I get it. Most people don't. They haven't been doing this for many, many years. But we did do a radio program on it. rsrlinks.com/buy down. rsrlinks.com/buy down. You price your property at a number that leaves room for you to do a 3 or a 4 or a 5% payment concession. I explain it all when you go through the buy down program. rsrlinks.com/buy down is where you'll find that. And if you're worried in this market, and it's a realistic worry, that what if the appraisal doesn't come in? We see that happening. We've got an appraisal gap program. rsrlinks.com/appraisal gap. rsrlinks.com/appraisal gap. We know how to do this because we've been doing it so long. We've got a team that understands all of this. So if you're already under contract with somebody and you don't think that they're treating you right, we'll do a second look for you. We'll just take a look at whatever they've sent you, the paperwork they've sent you, and we'll give you a second look. rsrlinks.com/2ND look. So it's kind of just a short way of saying second look, but 2ND look. rsrlinks.com/2ND look. And finally, yes, we do have a home seller's guide for you to take a look at. rsrlinks.com/HSG. rsrlinks.com/HSG. And we already told you about rsrmoney.com. That one there is going to show you several different metrics of what your property is worth. And Zillow's not the only game in town, maybe not even the best game in town. rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. Throw Josh a curveball. We're going to break a little bit early, and I've got a couple reports when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, stop chasing interest rates, the $576,000 mistake, overcoming the fear of home ownership. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's...
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. Here's a question. Are you letting fear keep you from building wealth through home ownership? You know what I've discovered after 4 decades in this business? Most of the fears people have about buying a home are based on bad information, worst case scenarios that rarely happen, or flat out myths. And today I want to address 3 of the biggest fears I hear from families who are sitting on the sidelines when they could be building equity instead of paying someone else's mortgage. I am Ron Siegel, Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Fear number 1, bad information. Let's start with that first fear. This one really gets under my skin. People tell me all the time, Ron, I ran my numbers through an online calculator and it says I can't qualify. Or I read an article that said I need perfect credit to buy a home. Here's the problem with that. Most of the information online is either recycled AI content or written by people who have never actually processed a mortgage loan. I'm talking about articles that get copied and pasted, tweaked a little bit, and put back out there as quote unquote expert advice. It's trash information, plain and simple. And here's something else most people don't realize. Even when your real estate agent, as helpful as they want to be, may not fully understand the complexities of mortgage qualifying. They know real estate. They don't necessarily know the ins and outs of how underwriters evaluate debt-to-income ratios or how to structure income for self-employed buyers or what creative solutions exist for challenging situations. So what should you do instead? Talk to an expert team. Get a real plan. Even if you're not ready to buy today, knowing where you stand and what steps you need to take puts you in control. Don't let some random online calculator or recycled blog post steal your opportunity to build wealth. The second fear I hear constantly is, Ron, what if I buy a house and then lose my job? I won't be able to pay the mortgage. I get it. That's a legitimate concern, but let me ask you this. What happens if you're renting and you lose your job? You think your landlord is going to be more patient than a bank? Here's the reality. If you're renting and you can't make rent, your landlord will likely start eviction proceedings within 30 to 60 days. But if you own your home and hit a financial hardship, you've got options, real options. There are government-designed programs like forbearance that were specifically created to help homeowners stay in their homes during tough times. We saw this during the pandemic, and these programs still exist. Banks don't want your house. They want you making payments, so they work with you. When you own your home, you've got time, you've got programs, and you've got equity you're building. When you rent, you've got 30 days notice and nothing to show for all those years of payments. And that brings me to the third fear. What if the absolute worst happens and I go into foreclosure? Won't that ruin my life forever? No, it won't. Look, I'm not making light of foreclosure. It's a difficult situation and nobody wants to go through it. But even in that worst case scenario, it doesn't mean you can never own a home again. Usually you're eligible to buy again in just a few years. I've helped people who went through foreclosure during the 2008 financial crisis become homeowners again. It all happens all the time. Compare that to renting for another decade while you wait for the perfect time or wait until everything is just right. How much wealth are you leaving on the table? How much are you paying in rent that could have been going toward building equity? Here's what I want you to understand. Strategy beats rate always. And the strategy of waiting because you're afraid, that's not a strategy at all. That's just fear making decisions for you. The real strategy is getting educated, understanding your options, and working with professionals who actually know how to structure deals for real people in real situations, not just the perfect scenarios you read about. So, if you're putting off home ownership because of fear or bad information, let's fix it. Head over to rsrlinks.com/keysteps, rsrlinks.com/keysteps. That's where you can access tools to get your financial house in order and understand exactly where you stand. Or if you want to have a conversation about your specific situation, book rs15.com, book rs15.com to have a dreams and goals call. Stop letting fear and trash information keep you from building wealth. Get the facts, get a plan, get moving. I am Ron Siegel, your certified liability advisor, reminding you strategy beats rate always, and we help families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to the Borrow Smart segment brought to you by GetHomeselect.com, GetHomeselect.com. I think we've got Mortgage 101. Let's see. We've got that brought to you by rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. Homeowner just threw away over $500,000 because they did exactly what their lender told them to do. And the worst part, they think they got a great deal. I am Ron Siegel, certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Here's what happened. This homeowner refinanced their VA loan from 5.75% down to 5.25%. They were so excited about that lower rate, they pulled the trigger immediately. But when they just made a $576,000 mistake, and I'm going to show you the exact numbers so you don't make the same one. The general rule of thumb when refinancing is to save 0.5 to 1% on your interest rate. This person only saved 0.5%, yet their lender or servicer convinced them it was a smart move. Why? Because the lender wins every single time you refinance. So what's the real problem here? Every time you refinance, you're essentially resetting the clock on your mortgage. You're taking on more interest over time, and you're delaying actually paying off your home. The lenders benefit from this game. You think you're getting ahead, but you're really just becoming a prisoner to the system. Let me show you the actual numbers this homeowner gave me. They have a home worth $1 million. They owe $800,000 at a rate of 5.25%. They make $15,000 a month after their $4,500 mortgage payment and about $1,000 in other expenses. They said they have roughly $9,000 left over each month. Now, I personally think those expense numbers are pretty low, but let's work with what they provided. Here's where it gets interesting. Using a first lien HELOC, the Wealth Builder program, we could take that same $800,000 balance and pay it off completely in just 6.3 years. 6.3 years. Yes, you can see all of that on gethomeselect.com, gethomeselect.com. That's an effective interest rate of 1.6%. Now compare that to their current 5.25% mortgage. On the same 75-month period, they'd only pay down $81,000 of principal. They'd still owe the bank $718,000. The difference we're talking about, saving $576,000 in interest. And yes, the HELOC rate is in this model is 7.7%, higher than their mortgage rate. But here's what most people don't understand. The interest on a HELOC is calculated on your average daily balance, not the full loan amount. When you're putting that $9,000 of monthly cash flow against the balance every single month, you're driving down what you actually pay interest on. That's why the Wealth Builder is so much better for you, because it's all automated. This is why I always say strategy beats rate always. Now, here's my warning for all of you listening. As interest rates come down this year, if they do, your mortgage servicer is going to start calling. They're going to try to get you to refinance again. And if you make the same mistake as this homeowner, chasing a 0.5% reduction, they'll get you again. Then when rates drop more, they'll call again. It's a cycle that keeps you in debt for 30 years while they profit. Now, do I say refinancing is bad? No. You've got to do it strategically. You've got to take some of that money that you're saving and apply it to the principal balance so you're not always dealing with a 30-year loan. That's our strategy beats rate always. That's why strategy beats rate always. Now, when you go and view the video that we have, gethomeselect.com, gethomeselect.com, you're going to see how you can have, I'm going to share this with you because it's the facts. When you go to gethomeselect.com and you look at the Wealth Builder product, it in essence takes you out of the refinance game for life. Is that good for me who's leading a lending team? No, but it's good for you, and that's what we do this for. Families who understand strategic debt management are paying off their homes in 6 to 8 years and keeping hundreds of thousands of dollars that would have gone to the bank. That's why the banks don't really want you to know about this program. So let me ask you, would you rather have a 5.25% mortgage for 30 years or completely debt-free in just over 6 years while saving more than $500,000? If you want to stop playing the lender's game and start implementing real strategy, I've got 2 resources. First, you're going to go to rsrlinks.com/keysteps, rsrlinks.com/keysteps. This tool will help you get your financial house in order so you can see exactly where you stand. Second, check out gethomeselect.com, gethomeselect.com for in-depth information about the first lien HELOC program I just described, the Wealth Builder. Remember, it's not about the interest rate, it's about the strategy. Strategy beats rate always. I am Ron Siegel, your Certified Liability Advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. Thanks for listening to Mortgage 101, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. Now, you may not be in position when you go to that Sora site, you may not be in position to go and do the first position HELOC right away, the Wealth Builder. So what do? Well, you might have to do the 2-step, rsrlinks.com/2-step. Step 1, you're doing that debt consolidation loan, getting rid of some of the debts, using up some of your equity. You're going to wait 6 months, maybe 12 months, because that's going to help get your credit restored or improved, which might be the issue that you have in qualifying for the Wealth Builder. Then you might have to be taking some money because we need to make sure we have reserves. So reserves have to be set up in there. That's, again, dealing with the Wealth Builder, getting you ready for it. Second step, get you into the Wealth Builder program. Very, very simple. So we want to make sure that's all in place for you. If you don't know what your FICO score is right now, go to rsrlinks.com/FICO, rsrlinks.com/FICO. And as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean, who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.